Welcome to Shallow, two friends, two time zones, and a brand new topic every episode. This week, we're revisiting a conversation that feels impossible to ignore right now. The shallow take, everyone we know is leaving the UK. From cost of living and career burnout to weather fatigue and the promise of something better elsewhere, it feels like packing up and moving abroad has gone from one day to the plan. So we asked the Shallow community, have you left the UK or are you thinking about it? And more importantly, why? Today, we're diving into your answers, the reason behind the exodus, and whether leaving is really about chasing a dream or stepping away from something that no longer works. Lucy Bell, how are you? Have you got a recommendation for me?
I am good. I do have a recommendation. So as we all know on this podcast, we like reading. I recently got a Kindle. It's the love of my life, covered in stickers now, and I constantly look for accessories. I want to accessorize my Kindle. I want to accessorize.
Love that.
And there's this really great Aussie brand called the Quirky Cup Collective, and they do these amazing Kindle sleeves, like fully embroidered fronts with like crowns on and swords and you name it, fantasy emblems everywhere. And they also do these like clingies, like the things that you hold your phone with your two hands.
Like a pop socket.
Like a pop socket, yeah. Exactly. They do like pop sockets, but they're like gorgeous and metal. And the one that I've got has like a rose on it. It's very like Beauty and the Beast coded. But all their stuff is like chef's kiss, no notes. But yeah, I absolutely love their stuff. They also do like journals, like reading journals that you can write what you're reading, and like it's just really like nostalgic, I think, to what I used to do when I was a kid. I used to like journal about what I was reading, and reading was like my whole life. So yeah, and the pens are just gorgeous. They're like all like ornate. So yeah, check them out. They're in a lot of like Aussie bookshops that I've noticed. I think they stock some of them, like Romance the Novel in Paddington in Sydney. But I think they're based in Melbourne. They're a little bit of an independent company, but they do ship internationally as well. So if you did want to get them, you can do that. Would say they're well worth it. Good quality.
Nice.
Support the girlies.
Yeah, support the gals. Mine's a bit of a throwback recommendation. Everything I Know About Love, the book.
By Dolly Alderton. The Queen.
The Bible. Have you seen the TV show?
No, I haven't.
It's really good.
Yeah. I think that got lost on my radar.
It did. It didn't seem to get that much love or attention, but I watched it when it came out, and then I kind of watched a little bit of it the other day. It's such a good show and adaptation of the book. I'd thoroughly recommend it.
Where can I watch it?
I think it's on iPlayer, and then if you're Aussie, I think it's on Stan. But yeah, definitely 100%
I'd love to give that a go.
watch.
I think that's something that like I've thought about a few times. It's like with one of these books I read called My Brilliant Friend, one of the best books I've ever read, by the way, by Elena Ferrante. That is also a TV series. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to watch that. But then I kind of like forget about it. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Dolly Alderton, Everything I Know About Love.
So we asked the Shallow community a question on a lot of 20 and 30 somethings minds right now. Do I stay in the UK or do I go? And if so, why? I don't know about you, but living in Oz, especially around this time, kind of an influx of Brits, and you get friends messaging me like, hey, I'm in Sydney, like, do you want to catch up? And they all start to kind of say the same thing. Anyway, the Shallow responses were great, and a few clear themes kept popping up, and that is the cost of living, the weather, the job market, and the nagging feeling that something better might be out there for you. This episode is a slightly deeper dive from a season 2 episode we did about moving to the UK from Australia. We'll link that below if you want to check it out. Today, we're kind of widening the lens and just looking at why people are leaving the UK in general, no matter where they're headed. So we're seeing more people than ever start to leave the UK. So latest ONS data shows that UK net migration has dropped about 204,000, roughly back to pre-Brexit levels after huge peaks in recent years. And more than 109,000 UK citizens left the country last year, then returned, which is a sign that emigration is on the rise. And if you allow me a quick Aussie one, in the 24 to 25 year, UK citizens received 79,412 working holiday maker visas in Australia, making them the single largest group of recipients, accounting for 24.7% of all working holiday maker visas granted that year. So look, it's clear people are leaving, but why? Which is what we kind of asked our community. The first thing that kept coming up was cost of living. So like housing, rent, groceries, day-to-day expenses. And to put that into real terms, over the last 5 years in the UK, prices for everyday goods and services have jumped nearly 30%, whilst wage growth hasn't quite kept up. So basically making regular life significantly more expensive. And that's from the House of Commons Library. You're obviously kind of one foot in, one foot out at the moment. I haven't been in the UK for a while. How is it for you?
I think what is interesting about coming to Sydney specifically is how many British accents you hear when you land.
Yeah.
And, you know, the whole trope of like, oh yeah, all the Brits moving to Australia, it's true. I will hear almost like equal amounts British accents than I do Aussie accents. And, you know, some people have said that's because the working holiday is easier for Brits to get. You don't have to do the farm work anymore. So a lot of them are coming inland and working in the city. And that's why there's a lot of British people in the cities.
But, you know, you go to Coogee, which is along the coast, and there is an enormous Irish community and British community there. It is majority of the time you will hear the UK accent over any other accent. And yeah, that speaks volumes just in terms of like, you quite kind of feel like it's a home away from home. You're kind of like halfway across the world. You've traveled for like, you know, between 22 to 26 hours, yet you're in a space that feels very familiar because the people that you know back at home are all here. I mean, people I haven't spoke to in a while, you know, I went to university with or school with, you know, I'm in Sydney, I'm posting stories, I'll like go on their story. Oh, wait, they're in Sydney where I was literally 2 minutes ago. And it's crazy that's just the case at the moment.
Yeah, it's wild. So like kind of, you're obviously over here, you're hearing all these home accents, you kind of feel a bit home away from home. Cast your mind back to November when you were like back in the UK. How is the cost of living there? Like, do you resonate with what people are saying?
It's absolutely awful. I mean, you'll go and just buy a few items from a shop and it feels like you've just been like bankrupt. And, you know, Brits love to go and moan about anything and everything under the sun. But, you know, if you're buying like a pint of milk and it's costing you almost £3, which is like $6, like, it's like, how are you supposed to live? Like, I don't know what exactly the current minimum wage is, but I'm guessing it's around like £13 at the moment.
So the UK national living wage for those 21 and over has increased to £12.21 an hour.
That's just, yeah. So you go and you buy a couple of items, you buy the basics, milk, bread, cheese, whatever. You're done. That's an hour of your work gone. If that, 2 hours of your work gone. And that's just for that day. Or you're buying, you know, your lunch. Like, I don't actually understand how people can afford it. And especially London as well, specifically. I think London is gearing up to kind of push people out of the city that can't afford it. Just kind of normal everyday people.
I think it's felt like that for a while.
Yeah, I just feel like it's ramped up. Like, I just have this feeling that it's just becoming a bit more elitist, whether that's to do with the government, the political climate, the fact that, you know, the wages, like you said, aren't going up in comparison to the price of products and the price of food and the price of living. It's not equally rising, and the rental prices are through the roof. I think they're starting to introduce this thing for landlords at the moment where you can give 2 months notice to a landlord, regardless of what contract you've agreed to.
Yes, it's the renters' rights bill, right? So you can kind of, everything's rolling, you're not locked in for ages.
So they're trying to kind of change the narrative around that, but I just don't think it's a big enough step, because the landlord could turn around and be like, you've got 2 months and then you've got to find somewhere else to live. And it's like a battle to find a rental property.
I think they brought it in that I could be wrong, I think they brought it in that they have to give you substantial reason to evict you.
Okay.
I know they're trying to firm up kind of renters' rights, but it's
not looking good.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think also like cost of living, it is a bit of a global narrative, or at least it is over here anyway. I often find that, like, you know, Oz is like 6 months behind the UK, and like cost of living here has gone up as well. I think one thing that feels like compounds that stuff, and this might sound really flippant and silly, but is the weather. And this came back in a lot of our responses. And I think with the weather, it's almost like a multiplier effect. Like, you know, like when I was home in the summer, we had a great time. The sun was out.
Rose-tinted glasses on.
Like life felt great, didn't it? And you could kind of see past maybe the other gripes. But I know for me, like as soon as I hit those winter months, like I was pretty sad.
The serotonin goes right down. Yeah, I think It's funny. I always didn't mention the weather because, I mean, look at me. I love the sun.
You're a smug pug right now.
Yeah, the sun gives me life. It also aids a lot of health problems that I have, and it helps my skin, it helps my hair. These things we've discussed on the podcast, it is like, it fuels me in a way. So when it does go into those winter months, I do dread them. And I think a lot of British citizens dread those months as well. And I don't think there's things in place to kind of deal with that. I was speaking to a friend actually, because in like Norway and like those kind of countries that are very dark, very cold, they are still quite happy people. And because they have these things in place, I think one of them is called Hygge, where they teach themselves.
Yes, or like Hygge or something.
Yeah.
Hygge, sorry, I've butchered that.
Hygge.
Yes, I know
where
the word you mean.
they practice kind of like community, activities, or there's loads of different things that they practice to try and alleviate those symptoms. And I think the country as a whole like recognizes that period as tough. It's like, this is a tough period. We need to help the citizens. Like, everybody kind of comes together and almost deals with it. Whereas I think
more community based, that you help each other.
Exactly. Whereas the more British response is to flee.
Yeah.
To flee. And it's very independent driven. It's very like, you think of yourself, you think of how you are, and you don't, it's not like, let's go and see what the neighbors are doing. Like, let's come together. Whereas other countries, I think, deal with it in a better way. That's not to diminish the political climate of the UK, because Brexit is a shit show. And, a lot of stuff has come with that. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be British a little bit.
Do you feel like that at the moment?
A little bit. I think when Aussies, I'll go into a shop and an Aussie will be like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, you know where I'm from, and you want me to tell you, and you know that it's going to be the same as the person that was in before. And it's kind of like I'm British, I'm here, like, obviously I'm sun chasing, like, I'm coming into your country. And it does feel a little bit like that.
Yeah, I feel like people kind of either flee or go very insular during that time, which is so easily done, isn't it? Like, I think, in winter, like, I was just like, go to work, go home. Like, that was how it is. But, you touched on Brexit and how the UK feels since then. And it did feel like a bit of a turning point of negativity, to be honest. And I think it shut a lot of doors. Like you said this, it feels like the UK is shutting doors on people and on opportunities that maybe we had before. Like, you could go and like study in Paris or live in Paris like that, and you wouldn't have had any roadblocks in your way. Whereas now we do. And that's not just for France, that's for the whole of Europe. Like, could you expand a little bit more on what you mean when you say it feels like the UK is shutting doors on people? Yeah,
definitely, like closing doors. I think when I was a bit younger and, pre-Brexit, I think we're all kind of living in, I think a lot of British people are living in summer 2019.
Yeah.
Summer 2019, it was hot. Everyone was happy. I think everyone was like actually like banding together and like having a good time. Yeah. And I think that we call back to that moment because it was fun and it was lighthearted and it didn't feel as heavy. And then you fast forward to 2020, you have COVID, you have Brexit, you have all these things that just kind of came raining down. And, once, the world was your oyster, Europe was your oyster, you could go and travel and do whatever you wanted. And if you were traveling, you could just stop in a country, be like, I might work in France for a bit. I might go to the Netherlands and see what that's about. And they could do the same with us. And now it just feels so hostile. It doesn't feel like we can do that anymore. And I think our reputation as English people and as British people has always been a bit ropey in Europe, for various reasons. But I think now it's even more embarrassing because it's like, we did this, but we still want to visit and we still want to work, but now we have to have a visa. It's like, why have we done that? It's easier now to travel all around the halfway across the world to Australia and work there than it is to hop on an hour flight to our neighboring countries. And that to me is like a little bit devastating.
Yeah, it's really sad. And I think it definitely was a driving decision behind, multiple things were around myself moving. The other thing that really was a huge driving force was actually the NHS. And I feel like I want to be really careful on how we discuss this because it's incredible that we have this system. And I think as someone who has had so many health problems, some small, some big, I think back to the way it was when I was a kid and it was incredible. Like, it was so good. and it's not in that state anymore. And I remember just having a lot of health problems going on with, now we know it to be endometriosis, but there was also some severe allergy things and immunology issues happening. And it was like banging my head against a brick wall. I was constantly dismissed, constantly told that I was fine, and I wasn't. And now we know that. But on the flip side, it's like, you know, we're so lucky that we have this incredible system, but it just breaks my heart that it's being gutted and not funded properly, and it was something that we as Brits were so proud of. We were like, we get free healthcare.
Yeah. I mean, COVID, everyone clapping, painting everything in rainbows. Like it's like, you know, even for the Olympics in 2015? 2012. Oh my God, so long ago. And you know, a lot of that opening ceremony was about the NHS, and like that was like, you know, when you think of the UK, you think of NHS. And it feels so sad to talk about. Like I'm talking about it now, and it's like, that's really depressing.
It's really sad.
And like, you've had your respective health issues, and you've come over here and you've been treated with such a different brushstroke. And I think I've been banging my head against the wall with the NHS for a while, and it's almost funny. We talk about having to gear ourselves up for a breakdown to go in. If you want anything for them to do anything that will enact change, you have to really ramp it up, and it's just such a shame. And that's what 10 to 15 years of austerity will do.
Yeah, and it's tough as well, because I think even those who are working within the NHS are struggling as well, because my doctor here is also an NHS doctor, and you know, she explains to me the systems and the way it works and why it is the way it is. And she's like, often these doctors, like, they want to help people, but everything's done in this certain like tick box way, and their hands are tied behind their back. Whereas, you know, they operate in a different way here. But on the flip side, it's like if we slate it too hard, it's a golden ticket for it to just be taken away from us. And I'm sorry, but the alternative is insurance, and it's expensive and it's not good.
And I feel like that is what they are doing.
Yeah.
They are dismantling it so that we have conversations like this that are kind of like, the NHS is no longer serving us. It's no longer good. Look, it's no longer doing great. Yeah. Let's make it hybrid. Let's make it, you know, let's push more to this private healthcare sector. And I think what you touched on the other day when, you know, because I've actually started to utilize the healthcare system here whilst I'm here, and they've got this kind of really good hybrid model over here. And the problem with the private healthcare at home is that it's not up to standard. So like, even if
it's really expensive,
and it's really, really extortionate. And so even if you had that crossover, would it even be any good? Would it work? And it's more about the money rather than the health.
Yeah. And it's tough because also like the NHS helps millions of people every single day. And it's really rough to see it going through this, and also the staff who are working there going through such a tough time. Because they do such good work, and it should be something as Brits we are extraordinarily proud of, and it should be treated as such. If you've been enjoying the episode, can you do us a really quick favour? Drop us a rating, a little review. It helps more people find us, and honestly, we're a little bit needy like that. Takes 2 seconds and means the world. Thanks, guys. The other thing that kept kind of coming up was that feeling of something better, the grass is greener. Do you feel like that at home at the moment, or are you kind of...
The grass is greener like elsewhere?
Yeah, in a different country.
Yeah, of course. I think if you when you live in it, like obviously I've been away from it for a little bit now, and you kind of have that like nostalgia, like, oh, the cold, it's cozy. You kind of have this image of like getting wrapped up and like going in a pub, going into the countryside, which is what a lot of people envision about England. It's like, oh, it's all cozy and cottages and pumpkin spice.
We're in the holiday,
it's all holidays. But the reality is, these really long working hours, it's really dark when you wake up. It's really dark when you get home. It's freezing. You're trying to find time to do gym, but you have no motivation because your body's like, it's cold. We need to reserve energy. And there's no, like we discussed, there's no things in place to make that period of time easier. And that period of time in the UK is a long period of time. Tough. You get about 3 months where you're like, this is great. You're like, this is great. It's hot. It's sunny. I think one thing I will say is that the UK had the most sunny days since
had a great year.
Yeah, it was a very, very sunny year. I know my partner's back in London at the moment. It's like -7. Well, it feels like -7. It's like -10 degrees, but it feels -7. That is something I can't get on board with. I will never get on board with. Here, everyone, the way people think over here is differently. Like, I think we touched on this in the It's Not Me, It's UK, but people, they live to live. They don't live to work.
Yeah.
They work as a means to like go on their run or go to the beach or go into the countryside or meet with friends or have a boat party, or like they love life. I think that's what I gain from, like, that's what I gauge from people when I speak to them, that they enjoy what they do. And I think when I speak to Australians in opposed to British people, they still have this negative kind of view. It's the language that they use is very like low and kind of like dismissive, whereas Aussies are a bit like, yeah, it's kind of great, it's a flip. Like, I think I'm so used to speaking to people that are pessimistic.
Yeah,
I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And I think that's what's nice about coming here. It's a bit of fresh air.
Yeah, a bit of a fresh point of view. I think that it definitely was the way I felt before I left. And I think it was fueled by like some country-based stuff and also just some stuff that was going on with me personally, that I was just like, that it has to be better than this. But I think one thing I will say is that I do miss home in a certain way. Like, I miss my family, I miss my friends. Certain pockets of the UK are beautiful, but I think I'm just left with this like core feeling of sadness because I don't know where it goes from here. Like, I look across, on my news or, speaking to friends and, getting these responses were also super interesting as well. So I'm just like, when's it going to get better? And is it going to get better?
Yeah, I think there's this real internal battle that is happening with me that is, lifestyle wise and job wise and everything wise, like it could be better. I think, like you said about family, like one of the main like things at the moment is, like my partner's family. So his dad's not very well.
Yeah.
And, you only have like your parents for so long and like it's a bit emotional, but like I think as you become a little bit older, like approaching 30, and it feels like you're no longer like 21 and like you've got to really think about these decisions, but at the same time, like you've got to seize the moment at the same time, and like you only live once, you don't want to have any regrets. So it's like that battle of like not having regrets, but also like, feeding that like family kind of circuit as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably like the biggest push and pull of doing something like this, and it's really head and heart. Like, I think leaving, and that's not to say also you have to leave and it's forever. Like, you can do a couple of years, you can do a couple of months if you want to. Like, there's no, you have to do this and then never step foot back at home. That's not how it is. But I think that is the hardest push and pull that I have, is that like so much of my heart is back at home, but like so much of this move,
soul is here.
Yeah, but like my head is like, you're healthier here, this is a better lifestyle for you, like this suits you. And like, we joked in our 29 going on 30 episode about having a regulated nervous system.
Literally.
I've got one now. Well, 90% of the time. We made it.
It took me 30 years.
Only took me 27 years of my life to find that bit of peace. But also, I do have a lot of nostalgia for home as well. Like, it's hard to almost talk about this stuff because I don't want to feel like I'm just like, oh, UK, but for me, I feel like back in the day, like obviously the winters were always there, the weather was a bit shit, but I felt like it was kind of great. And it's sad to see somewhere that you call home still be dismantled, or it just doesn't feel like the place it used to be.
Yeah, especially I think, there's like a rise as well in the UK. There's a class division. It feels like more and more people are being like divided,
squeezed to one end or the other.
Like, you're either in this court, you're in this court, you're either this opinion or that opinion, you're either in this price bracket. You're either, middle class doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. It just seems to be like one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's very black and white. And, that's not to say that Australia don't have their issues. I'm sure they do. I'm sure.
As other countries would as well.
Exactly. I can't speak on those. But as a British person, it feels divisive. Like, I will mention 2019 again, because just before we did this episode, I was just kind of scrolling on Instagram, and there's so many posts about that. There's so many posts. People are really stuck in that moment. And I think
that's interesting.
They're not ready to let's try and
think about how to live now whilst all this shit's going on. It's hard.
So, is it really that deep? Is everyone leaving the UK? Lucy Bell.
It feels like it. I think, in the workplace, in, general life, people that I speak to, they are thinking about moving to Australia.
It's a really common sentiment.
Oh, I might move to Australia. I might get another job. I might move to Australia, or I might go up north.
Those visa stats and just general immigration stats. Like, it's not just
super
us.
easy to get a visa here as well. I mean, even my visitor's visa, I got it accepted before I even got my confirmation I'd submitted it.
Yeah, everyone says that.
It's crazy. And I know other countries have a little bit of a harder time. So I just think, Brits are well, this is our one privilege that we have that we've got. Well, I say that's a very loaded thing to say as a first world country, but this is our kind of get out of jail free card, because we can't go to all these other countries now and work there. We have to get a visa. And also on the other end of the spectrum, it's really sad, because not only has Brexit closed these doors for us, but it's closed its doors to Europeans as well. And I have a lot of European friends. One of my best friends is Italian. She's got a settled status in the UK now, but her sister had to go home after her course, because she couldn't stay here. And I'm just that's crazy to me that now you're pushing these people out, these people that brought revenue in to schools and universities, and international students really brought economy. They brought money to our economy, and they were assets, and now they're not seen as such. And there's this rise of kind of racial discrimination, and it just feels so heavy. It feels so divisive, and it feels like people are blaming marginalized communities for things that are government related, and they're not turning their face to them. They're deciding to blame these people that bring a lot to our country. And I always used to think of the United Kingdom as somewhere that everybody is welcome, and I really that's one thing I love about London as well.
Yeah, diversity.
It's diversity. That in a nutshell, that's what we stand for in London. That's what London brings. You can go to these boroughs in the Midlands or the North where it's a little bit dodgy, what is this? And then you come to London, and, there's everyone, there's every culture, there's every race. And I just think we need to really lean into that. We need to be kinder. And I think that's another reason that people are leaving. It's I want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this,
So what is pulling you home then? I think because you say you had the option to move, you decided to stay at home for a while. What is the thing that's keeping you going home? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it career?
I think at this moment in time, the number one is career. I really enjoy it. I think another driving force that has kind of come to light recently that I've just mentioned, I kind of mentioned, was my partner's family.
Yeah.
I think that's really, important, because it weighs on you a little bit. And it's not you can just come back after 2 months and go and visit and then go back away, because at the moment we don't visit that much, once, twice, 3 times a year, but it just feels like it's something that we should be doing.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
That's not to say that I'm sat here judging you because you're here.
I know, it's all good.
But that
it weighs heavy.
It weighs heavy. And I think when you speak to people who are here, they're like, oh, I love it here. And they'll list all the reasons that we've listed in this episode. But the thing that they always say is, I miss the family and friends. As somebody who has left the UK, you've been here 2.5 years now. You're in the thick of it. You're actually outglowing, can I just say? The skin, the hair. Is it really that deep? Is leaving the UK, is leaving that kind of hemisphere, is it really that deep? Or is it just something that people are kind of doing? It's like a temporary escapism, but they're not actually dealing with the problem? Or is this dealing with the problem?
it's an interesting, is it like a band-aid over the issue? I think for me it absolutely is and was. Yeah, it was. I know I alluded to it, but I wasn't in a good place when I left. And I think in some ways I also connotate those emotions with the location, when actually I had a lot of amazing times in home in the UK. And
it all bands together, doesn't it? And creates this kind of cloud of like...
Yeah, it does. But I think for me, my biggest thing has been my health. And that has changed so much since being here for all the right reasons. So yeah, for me, absolutely is.
With the health thing, like we're starting to go through this journey with me whilst I'm here, and I'm hoping that it's going to give me a little bit of clarity. And I think it's going to kind of open my eyes a little bit when I go back. I think, you know, I might get some test results here, or I might get some answers here and take them back. And I think the real shock is going to be like how that's dealt with on the other side. I think we'll really see the kind of outcome and what that brings, and whether, you know, this kind of moment that I'm having over here is really going to like change something back at home.
Yeah. We'll find out. We'll keep you updated.
But if anybody's listening to this and thinking of leaving the UK, or thinking of moving to Australia, or wherever it is they're thinking,
Canada, wherever,
please give us a message and tell us the reason why, because this is one of our, like, the first episode is one of our highest performing episodes. I think it really resonates with people, similarly to like when we talk about like having a baby and, you know, and all these kind of like big life questions. I think they're really important. So if you have any takes on it, whether you're kind of a European living in the UK,
or you love the UK and you don't want to leave,
exactly.
Tell us why.
Tell us why you don't want to leave. What is it about it? Because we can, you know, talk about our own experiences, but
get in touch.
And now it's time for...
And what a pile of bollocks!
This is the time in the show where we just chat about something really insignificant that just messes with us, really pisses us off, makes us a bit mad, but not in a very deep way.
Not in a deep way.
Not in a deep way. But today, it's Phoebe's turn. Hit the floor, hit the mic. What is it?
The McDonald's ordering system.
Bing, bing.
Yeah. It's...
Triggered.
So annoying. It's not important. It's not that deep. But like, can we refine the system, please?
What is it about it that like really grinds?
I get lost in the menu, like, like I do, and like then like having to like stand with your ticket. Like I feel like didn't you used to be able to like go up to
and
the
order
thing.
it, yeah.
And like the amount of times I'll like accidentally, and maybe this is just me being a numbnut, but like I'll like accidentally click on something and be like, oh no, I've got to go back and like delete that. And then it just, I don't know.
And then it doesn't give you a receipt.
Yeah.
And then you haven't remembered your number.
Or sometimes it doesn't spit out a receipt. And
you just go
like,
to the customer service, be like, excuse me. And they're like, why are you speaking to me?
Yeah, like I swear I'm order 79. Like, and they're like, well, prove it.
Prove it for your McDonald's.
So yeah, it's not that deep, but if we could get on that.
If we could just, McDonald's, if you're listening, which you always are.
We know they listen.
We know they listen.
Sort it out.
Thanks so much for listening to Shallow. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could leave us a review. It makes a really huge difference in helping others discover the podcast. We always want to hear from you, so feel free to slide into our DMs, send us a bell, or follow us on Instagram at ShallowPod. Shallow is a boxed off production, written and hosted by Lucy Bell and Phoebe Whittle. We'll see you next time.